we all sit in first class. And where I come from, we don't fly first class. Not my whole family flying first. They're like, this is the premiere. You might be into that. Like, no, we're in this section, right? I'm not like caught up into that kind of stuff. I'm grateful that my wife can finally sit in first class and get a meal. My children are in first class, and this is not a standard. I'm grateful that my son's going to college, and he doesn't have to take out a loan.
Amen.
I got tired.
Amen. Come on now.
I got tired of being, it's like giving 70 or 80% and not living the way I want to live. See? And this guy got tired. He started crying like, yo, Shaq is winning. I see the Spurs winning. I see Jonathan Billups with his new team. I see other people winning and I'm not winning. And I want to be a winner. And I'm tired. And I got tired, y'all. So I did something about it. I woke up every day and started running. I was tired. I was tired looking at my wife. My wife was looking at homes. She looked at a home that was like $50 million. What you looking at a $50 million house for? She's like, goals. I'm like, what kind of goals? She's like, you're going to have to work a little harder.
I'm going to stop right there. What do you guys think about that? It's deep, right? Mm-hmm. You hear people say that I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. You ever heard that term before? Mm-hmm. Because when people get tired of their situation and they don't do something to change it. Mm-hmm. You know what we tend to recognize when we get tired? The uncontrollables. Don't we tend to recognize the uncontrollables when we get tired? What does that mean? You know, we think that certain people in our lives should be doing better, especially when you're a parent with children, right? We think our child should be doing something more with their life and they're not doing it. And we're getting frustrated about it. We're carrying that weight of them not doing what they're supposed to do on a consistent basis that we know we train them to do, and they're not doing it. And we get tired. But here's the thing. I can't force my child to do anything. That's an uncontrollable. As a parent, I just need to know that I did the right thing by them in terms of instilling in them the right behavior, right? Instilling in them the right thought process, and then most importantly, being the right example. So they can never come back to me and say, you did it. Or they possibly can, but I can say I used to, and as you can see, I haven't done it anymore. You see what I'm coming? I said earlier I got 6 boys. The beautiful part about it is the first 3 seen dad in the downstate. The second 3 never seen me in that state before. They never seen me as an alcoholic. They never seen me as one that leave the house and come back days later. They never seen it before. And it's totally different in terms of the way they both think, the way 2 groups think. You get what I'm saying? It's totally different. But here's the issue that I'm now coming up against as a parent, is this. D's tend to be more independent than D's. I'm noticing a difference in behavior. You get me?
So what you say? Which one?
Okay, the first three that when I first got married, I have stepchildren as well. So when I first got married, my wife had children. You see, so the thing is that when I was, and I probably never told you this story, I was jacked up. The first 5 years of my relationship with my wife, it was all bad. Man, alcoholic, woman chasing. You know, this street is familiar to me. I'm for real. And that in East 14, East 14, back before all that international stuff, because this was in the 90s. This was like in 94. You get me? 94, 95, 94, 95. Man, we used to come out there for fun because it was popping back then. You know, that was a spot to be. So I was out there, man. It was really messed up. And subsequently, it got to a point where my older children, they hated me. They didn't like me. For real. So when it comes to somebody to say, I know what it takes to rebuild a relationship, like I said last time, you got to be out there rooting for them even when they don't want you to be around. I was talking about me. You got to keep showing up. You get what I'm saying? And I had to rebuild that relationship with them. But the first thing I did, and this is what we all must do if you're in this situation, is you need to go apologize. For real, you need to go apologize. That's the first thing I did, was look them in the eyes as a man and apologize. I'm sorry, and I meant it from the sincereness of my heart. And from there on out, I told him, you ain't never got to worry about that behavior coming from me no more. It's been 20 years, and I have never, ever, never went back. Amen. I am no woman chasing, no nothing. No drinking, no alcoholism, no nothing, no smoking. I was smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. This was back when Newports was $4. Now imagine smoking now, it's like $50 a pack. You get what I'm saying? Man, none of that stuff. But that's who I was, you know what I'm saying, in my past. But I got tired, man. When I got tired, I realized that it was only me and God. Folks, wife left, everybody left. They got rid of me, put me out as a matter of fact. I was all bad, man. I was doing some stuff. But you know, people get to a point where they have to save themselves, you know what I'm saying? Alright, so here's what I want to talk about before we get to self-esteem. And what I was thinking about is this right here. This is what I want to share with you guys. You know when we did the walking back exercise, we started with what a person had determines what they do determines what they believe, and what they believe determines what they think. Remember that?
Yeah.
And don't you remember when I said that was backwards, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, and we flipped it around. We went from thinking to believing to doing to having is the correct way. But this is what hit me the other day. Is that we're all chasing a feeling. It's not about the car. It's the way I feel when I get in the car. It's about the way I feel when other people look at me driving the car. It's about the way I feel when I can look at this nice car that I'm getting in and say, man, I used to drive a bucket. Remember that? When I pull up to the house, it's not just about the house. It's about the way I feel living in that house. So we're all chasing a feeling. When you have something, it creates what? A feeling. Right? This is powerful. I need you to listen to me. When you have something, it creates a feeling. And all we want is a feeling. Self-sufficiency really is a feeling at the end of the day. It's a feeling that you know and that you have what it takes to have everything that you desire. It's a feeling. So, with that being said, let's work it from the back way again. If it's a feeling, then all you got to do, and we talked about emotion, right? We talked about how to control the emotion. That was one of the things that came up in conversation. This is how you control your emotion or your feelings, is to direct it. So if it's a feeling that you're looking for, self-sufficiency is a feeling, then all you got to do is determine how do you desire to feel on a daily basis. Determine for yourself how, right, because I'm not passing on the handouts on this. How do you require to feel, huh?
Why?
I just did. I don't have no excuse, but you just didn't. So, how do you desire to feel? Well, we can give you a handout. Is that okay? Yeah, I don't even think I emailed it.
You didn't email it to me.
Yeah, I wrote on this one right here.
Well.
Okay, so basically all you're determining.
You go to the photocopy.
So write these questions down. How do you desire to feel on a daily basis? Right? The next one is, what will it take from you, what will it take for you to feel this way? And these questions are going to come up again. I'm just going to go through them. What do you need to believe or exist as in life? Because we taught that the word believe means to exist, right? But to determine how you want to exist as in life. Be means to exist. Leave means life. So what do you believe or exist as in life to feel the way you desire? So what do you need to believe? And then it goes to this. What do you need to do? What do you need to consistently think to feel the way you desire? So it's the exact same thing. It's just done in reverse. Does this make sense? I'm going to shoot through the questions one more time. We're chasing a feeling, right? So the first question you got to ask yourself is, what do I need to do to let me slow down. Okay. How do you desire to feel on a daily basis? That's what you have to determine. So, with that being said, here's some examples for you. And I'll shoot you this handout. What do you desire to feel is the have, which we talked about. If you desire to feel great, independent, self-sufficient, strong, worthy, loving, and lovable, beautiful, and in control, this is what I put. Right? So if that's the way I desire to feel, then the next question is, what will it take to feel this way? Right? So, what will it take to feel this way is a career/money, self-esteem, knowledge of self, a house, a car, clothes. Tiana talking about hair. As a matter of fact, where is she?
Where?
Oh, okay. Tiana talking about hair. Strong family. We talked about that, right? Yeah. Strong family and consistent development. Does this make sense? Right? So that's what you need to do. It says, what do I need to believe that I can accomplish anything I focus my mind on? that I'm well able. I have every resource I need to achieve my desired feeling. You need to believe that you have it. You need to believe that you have the job. You need to believe that you have the resources. You need to believe. Because let me ask all of us a question that has went without. Did we believe that we didn't have it? Yeah. And we didn't have it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
The reason I like to go to past experiences is because that's the best teacher. I can sit here and tell you all day long, but when you can look back on your own past experience without me being there and can see the answer, that is the best teacher. So if when you believe you didn't have it and you didn't have it, then the flip side of that is to believe that you have it to achieve it. The difference is that there's going to require some work. They require work on the other side. That means not doing what you're supposed to do, not going to the trainings. You get what I'm saying? There's a reason people are without in this world. And they miss me on all that when they try to act like they ain't had nothing to do with it. You know, they did something. You know, we played a role up in there some way, somehow. And I'm talking about the lazy people. You get what I'm saying? Because those are the people that come to you fast, talking about, I did everything I was supposed to do. And you can name 5 things out the gate they didn't do. Well, you were supposed to meet me at 6 o'clock. What happened? Well, see, what had happened was, you get me? And they got all these excuses, right? I'm not talking about the grinders. I'm talking about the lazy people. See, grinders, man, if we miss the mark as a grinder, all that means is take a step back, analyze the situation, consult some people, put your plan back together again, and get back in there. That's all it means. But trust me, it's going to be worth it, because one thing a great man said a long time ago is this right here. And I'm going to talk about that, and I'm kind of jumping, not this week, but next week. It's called compounded effort. Do you guys know what compounded effort is? What compounded effort is this. Okay, I always use it as an example. Let me use somebody else. Okay, I'm just going to use that.
Use somebody else.
Okay, yeah, use somebody else. Hey, get on, Judas. No. Anyway, what compounded effort is this. I have a goal, right? I get up one day and say, hey, I'm changing my life. Like I said, I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. So that meant was I got up, and what I started doing is I started reading the Bible. So I'm reading the Bible, right? Then I started to believe in myself, right? Then I started to get these visions. This is what really happened. I started getting these visions as far as what do I need to do. So I started getting my clothes together. I started getting and acquiring the things that I need from what I seen in the vision. And then what happened was, God honest truth, Weed Man came over to the house. We finna smoke. And he made a statement. He said, man, in mid-stride, right? He said, a friend of mine is in the insurance business. And the moment he said that, it was like a light exploded in my brain. Bing, 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 bing. That's it.
What you doing?
That's it. So I said, he's making a whole lot of money doing it. Right? Next day, I got up. I started making calls. Compounded effort. You get what I'm saying? I got told no 10 times in a row.
You didn't give up.
This is the thing. No, you gotta have, but they said you gotta have a license, which is equivalent to what? No, right? You gotta have a license. You gotta have a license. You gotta have a license. 7 calls in. You gotta have a license. I'm still calling people. 8 calls in. You gotta have a license. 9 calls in. You gotta have a license. I'm thinking 10 is it. They told me you gotta have a license. But dude said, but a friend of mine just started his own insurance company. His name was Sal. I'll never forget Sal as long as I live. He said, I'm gonna call him up because he could use somebody like you. You see what I'm saying? So he said, call me back in 30 minutes. I called Buddy back in 29 minutes. I'm early because I'm hungry. When you hungry, you get me? I've been saying this for a reason. When you hungry. So I called him back in 29 minutes. We on the phone. He said, man, Sal said he can meet with you today. I went in. My Sunday best already ready. Remember I told you I was getting ready. So I goes in. I put on my slacks and my shirt and everything. I run down there. I go meet with Sal. I just know this is it. We walking around. He collecting insurance premiums. He showed me he got the block on lock. For real. That's how I came aware of how the insurance game worked and how much money was in it, right? So he walking around, he collecting, he doing his thing. He took me out, man. We ate steak. All on him. We got back up to his office. He said, sit right there, man. And I sat down and he went in his office and he came back out like 5 or so minutes later. He said, come on in, Anthony. I went in, I sat down with him. And you know what he told me? What do you think he said?
You need a license.
Say it again.
You need a license.
You need a license. He said, I'm hiring people, but I need somebody with a license. He said, but I just got off the phone with my good friend, Chris Lumbus. I never forget him neither, which was the general manager of Dashers Insurance. He said he will meet with you today. It was somebody from Dashers that told me no. You understand what I'm saying? But I kept progressing, met this guy called this guy, and not only did they hire me without a license, but they paid to send me down to Fresno to advanced insurance class all on the company. Mind you, I was living in the house with some guys. I had gotten fired. They was clowning me this whole time. I kept saying that God said my road is coming, and I kept progressing every single day. I kept developing every single day. So in essence, I was doing the work. Guess what? When I got that job at the insurance company, I went in there so hungry, man. Check it out. Even when I didn't have a license, I'm on the phone, bringing in customers. Click, people coming in. So what happened was, I hooked up with this cat named Jimmy. We still friends to this day. Been over to his house, met his family, everything. Jimmy would sign him up. Jimmy would sign him up, give me a cut, and he paid for my lunch every single day. I was broke, y'all. I was broke. Literally broke. And he was paying for my meals every single day. Now I'm eating. I got to my paycheck. I started getting my check. Guess what happened? I got my license. I went in there, and mind you, these cats in the house is clowning me. These supposed to be my boys. I went from making the least in the house to the most in the house, and them jokers put me out. Put me out. Put me out. You know why people will put you out and get mad at you? But it's not just that they hate. So you got to, in my opinion, you have to understand what's happening underlying. The underlying is that they have pictured themselves as you as the worst. Yep. And now you doing something that they can't do. Now either they going to do what? They either going to step up. That's the key. Does this make sense to everybody? Okay, so what do you need to think? You need to think, who am I? What my purpose is. The same questions we talked about, right? Who am I? What my purpose is? Why is that important? And how do I become the person that I see in my mind? It's the same thing, but now you're looking at it from a feeling perspective, because I said great decisions are made with what? Logic and emotion, right? But when we make emotional-based decisions, what typically happens?
A non-logic disaster.
Disaster. So you know what I'm showing you here? This is part one. I'm going to show you part two. Part one is that when you get ready to make a decision, ask yourself, what is the feeling that I want to feel from this? You see what I'm saying? What is the feeling? And make sure that feeling lines up with what you wrote on that paper, your goal. So when you come to the understanding of what feeling I want to have, right, then you can come to the understanding of what do I need to do, which we already mapped out. Then you get to the next stage, what do I need to believe, which we already mapped out. And then you get to the next step of what do I need to have, what do I need to think, which we already mapped out. So once your decision can pass the feeling or emotion test, next week I'm going to give you the logical test. But I'll give it to you, basically, I'll give you an understanding of what it means right now. So once you say that this adds up with the feeling I want, this career or whatever adds up with the ultimate feeling that I want, then the next step is it the logical decision to make? What does that mean? That means that just because it makes me feel good doesn't mean that it's the right move for me now do it. Because we fell into a trap based upon what? Feelings. He rolls up, man, he got the best cologne on, you know, that Saturday night special. Probably had on some Dracar. You remember that cheap stuff? But man, it was floating around. Don't talk about Dracar. It floated around the hood. Shoot, Dracar was a thing back then. He had on some Dracar. Oh, Obsession. Remember that? He all up, he got his Obsession on. You know what I'm saying? He all clean, looking good. You know? Next thing you know, you over there. Now he done showed you all the signs that this ain't it. And what do?
You can't see it.
Can't see it. Yeah. We blinded by our emotion. But when you bring logic in the game, now you can say, yeah, you smelling good now. Kind of look alright. You know, I don't like them white socks. He probably need to have some black socks on that outfit. You start to notice things, in other words, right? Typically, we go through the bliss before we notice some stuff, and everything pisses us off. You know, once the high is over, like B.B. King said, once the thrill is gone, then everything pissed you off. It used to be a time he came, left his drawers on the floor because you was all wrapped up in dude. You didn't even care. You picked them up. Here you go, baby. And put them in the hamper. But when you found out he couldn't pay the rent. Ooh! Ooh! You know? For real, we get pissed off, we get angry, right? So now, does it pass the logic test? That's what I'm saying. Is it the logical decision to make? In other words, if it's a job, is it going to supply you with the income that you're looking for, right? Or is it your only option? So logically speaking, I'm going to take this, but I know that I'm going to keep focusing, like I told you, plan B, right? I'm going to take this for right now, but I'm going to keep focusing on my destination and where I want to go. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, cool. I'll email you guys a copy of this. All right. All right, let's run. We're going to run. Let me know if I'm going too fast, okay?
Then it's your hand.
Go right ahead. Any questions about anything? Does all this make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Let me, little clarification. I do not ask that question, and I just like to tell people this because sometimes people take it literally like, what you mean, I'm dumb or something? Like, I understand where you coming from. I don't ask that question because I think somebody's dumb. You know, I ask that question to make sure that I'm explaining it right. That's all I'm asking. Because at the end of the day, the success of the communication comes from the communicator, not the communicatee. So in essence, I have to make sure that I'm putting the symbols together. And I know, like with my sister right here, Regina, she'll stop me in the heart and be like, what you say? And it's cool. I like it when you do that because you want to know. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with asking people to repeat themselves. It's nothing wrong with that. We tend not to do it because we want to look in front of everybody like we dumb. So.
Yep.
You know, but the only person that's going to think is dumb is the person that don't ask the question. The only dumb question is the question you don't ask. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
All right, cool. So let's jump in. I find this to be one of the most powerful lessons because the majority, in my opinion, the majority of people suffer from low self-esteem. I like to say no self-esteem because either you have it or you don't. And what is self-esteem? Self-esteem is how we value ourselves. It is how we perceive. Remember the word? Mm-hmm. How we perceive our value to the world, or how we interpret our value to the world. If I have low self-esteem, then I feel like I'm of no value to the world. I feel like I'm of no value to my children. And if I believe that I'm of no value, then what am I going to be?
No value.
No value, right? Makes sense. Okay, so let's start over. It is how we perceive our value to the world and how valuable we think we are to others. Self-esteem affects our trust in others, our relationships, and our work. If I have low self-esteem, then it's hard for me to trust other people, right? Because something caused me to have low self-esteem. So is it honest to say that oftentimes people with low self-esteem are those that was deceived, those that were put down, those that were let down? You see, and the more we get deceived in this world, put down and let down, the easier it is now to start thinking that everybody is going to be the exact same way. Have you ever heard the term when some women say all men ain't S? Now, how in the world are you going to put all men in the category? Have you dated everybody? Have that person? Yeah, just the ones you dated. But you know what I like to tell people? This is no diss. I like to say full disclosure, this is no diss. But if you dated them, it's a responsibility that you must take in that equation.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Because there's some responsibility. And isn't it interesting, like I said earlier, when we caught up in the bliss, right, we don't see everything else. But the moment the thrill is gone, then we notice everything about that joker, don't we? But it goes right back to the word ignorance, right? Hence to ignore. We seen it, but we didn't want to see it because it didn't line up with what we wanted. We're going to talk about that. Needs versus wants. Proper relationship building. Is it what you need or is it what you want? And that's the difference, right? So let's get back. It says nearly every part of our lives, positive self-esteem gives us the strength and flexibility to take charge of our lives and grow from our mistakes without the fear of rejection. I'm not worried about nobody putting me down. I'm not worried about nobody saying you ain't gonna make it. That don't, I'm past that. I'm past that. I'll get out into the world how I feel. You know what a lot of people find interesting is that when we have certain conversations, especially on race and racism, I notice how a lot of people will, no, I call a spade a spade. I call a thing a thing. And it's no diss against white people. It's no diss against black people. In whatever role that we play in the equation, I'm calling a spade a spade. I call a thing a thing. Now, if a person has a problem with that, then that's a problem they have. It's not a problem that I have. Does that make sense to everybody? Because oftentimes, and it's bigger than that, oftentimes we get in these relationships and we can't tell our truth because we're too afraid of what somebody else gonna feel. But maybe they do need that. You reap what you sow. So if somebody's treating you bad and you're not telling them how they're making you feel, you're not demonstrating to them what they're doing to you, then who's the true source of your pain that you feel from being treated that way? Yourself. Yourself is you. It's you every single time. If you allow somebody to treat you some way, then it's you. Because in this world, you reap what you sow. You get what I'm saying? So if somebody comes to you and treats you a certain way, you have the divine right to tell them, this is what you did to me. This is how you made me feel. Because when you don't do it, I'm going to show you when we get down to what low self-esteem is. There's an issue. There's something that happens, right? Let's go. When you don't do it, you're going to see something. The following are some outward signs of positive self-esteem. The first one is confidence. We talked about the lack of confidence, the fear of rejection, right? You said earlier that it's that when we lack the confidence in ourselves, right? The word confidence comes from the root word confide, which means to have or show faith in your ability. There's nothing wrong with having faith in who you are. There's nothing wrong with speaking to what you can do. I tell everybody all day long, this is what I can do. Because let me tell you something, if you can't stand before an employer and say with confidence, this is what I do, this is what I can provide, this is what I can add, then what's the point of them hiring you? They're not. Because they won't have the confidence that you can get it done. Do you guys know what a sale is? A sale. Just regular sale.
A brain or a selling a
Just
body
a-
or
Just a sale, period.
A sale in the store? What?
Just a sale.
a battery sale?
S-A-L?
All
A
sales.
sale in the store?
All sales. S-A-L-E.
Okay.
All sales is nothing. All sales is nothing but a transfer of enthusiasm.
And what that mean?
Okay, so man walking down the street, right? Let's go street work.
An attraction.
Hey, good looking. You know what I'm saying? And she all enthusiastic about what getting would do. He ain't got no women normally talk to him like that. Oh, you so looking fine, daddy. You know all that stuff they say? You get me? It's enthusiasm. Have you ever been in the sales business before? Have you ever sold anything? When you are excited, what's the likelihood you're going to sell that product? You're going to sell it. I came across this kid in Walmart very quickly. I was in Walmart with my wife. We was buying a television some years ago. Young kid, young brother came up. Hey, how you doing, sir? Great. Shook my hand. I mean, I'm looking at dude like, okay, you know, right energy, everything's cool. Dude tells us, we asked some questions about the TV. Dude didn't know nothing. Literally, he couldn't answer one of our questions. But you know what he said? He said, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to run over here and ask my manager, and I'll be right back. But he said it so enthusiastic until guess what we did? We stood right there, and he shot over here. He came back. He said, my manager said that he could do this, this, and this. Okay, great. We asked another question. I don't know the answer to that, but I'll be right back. He shot over there, and he came back with the answer. You see what I'm saying? But through his enthusiasm to get us the answers that we needed. You get me? Guess what we walked out of Walmart with? That TV. All a sale is a transfer of enthusiasm, guys. Never forget that. And if a person have low self-esteem, it's because that's what they're selling. That's what they're selling. That's what they're giving off. That's what they're sowing. So confidence, self-direction, a non-blaming behavior, right? We don't blame others for the situation we're in because we come to realize that everything starts from where? Within yourself, right? It says, awareness of personal strengths. So we know our strengths, like all of you guys, and that's the beautiful part I love about this class, right? And I put that in my report, that all you guys understand your strengths. You understand the things you need to develop. You get it. And that's what it's all about. That's the first step of, not necessarily the first step, but that's almost like the beginning of consciousness or awareness for a lot of people. An awareness of personal strengths, an ability to make mistakes and learn from them, an ability to accept mistakes from others, optimism. You guys know what optimism means? Oh, we're coming up on 10. Let me get through these and we're going to wrap this up next week. Okay. To be an optimist, right? That means the glass is half full. I'm halfway there. I'm going to make it. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Yeah, I may be at Matilda Cleveland today, but I know where I'm going to be tomorrow.
Hello.
You feel me? Because if you don't get up thinking that way, then what's the likelihood it's going to happen?
It ain't.
Because get this right here, all of life's achievements, true achievements are earned. Every single one of them. If you move from point A to point B or point C or point D, it's because you earned it. And if anybody comes, a person, think about this, a person with a negative thought process. They find out, true story. My wife's niece passed away. Sad, her cousin passed away. 30-some years old from a heart attack. It was bad. She left one of my wife's nieces $35,000. Right? Man, and she lived right across the street from here too, so you already know what type of it. She's street. She's got that life, right? 35,000. She got that money, started buying Jordans. She all on Facebook and all that stuff up in Las Vegas. You know less than 30 days. Money gone.
That's not really a lot of money to look at it. It's really not.
It's not.
When you invest.
It doesn't matter if you get $1 million, you can spend it. Because you know what comes to poverty? Poverty. If I give you $1 million and you have a poverty mindset, you're going to blow it.
Exactly.
There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. What I want to do with us is take away that it's a possibility. You get me? Our people have always leaned on that possibility. What does that mean? The lottery. Instead of developing ourselves, we'll go and put all this money. My mother do it. True story, and I'm rapping right here. She put so much money into the lottery, and it got so cold one day I started asking her, I said, "Ma, how much money you spend on the lottery?" And she said, about $15 a day. Right? So now I started doing the math for it. See, this is when you know you're messing with people, right? I did the math. I said, so $15 a day, times that by 7. And Mama, you've been playing the lottery as long as I can remember. And I'm 46 years old. Let's just say you started at 43 years ago. You get me? 43 years ago. And when I told her how much money that was, I said this question: have you won that much? Nope. So why are you still playing? Oh, don't tell me. I don't want to know the answer to that. Of course you don't. Because that's going to interfere with her and what she want to do. Does that make sense?
That is so true.
That's it, man, because we're trying to get everything from every source but ourselves. If you are dependent upon an external source for your internal happiness, you are wasting your time. Thank you guys for coming out. Is there any questions?
No.
All right. Woo, we got some material we got to cover next week, but we'll get to it next week.
So for next week, we are changing to the normal schedule, Thursdays.
Yes, so next week we're changing to the normal schedules on Thursdays. We're going to come in here. This is just a little bit more, so we're going to finish this up. And then we're going to do a midterm, so be ready. The midterm is going to be open book, and we asking some questions, making sure your comprehension is on point. I shouldn't have said that. Our teachers normally just throw it on.
Fair, because the kids running in now.
I saw open book. Ain't nobody worried. Yeah, you got the answers right there in your book. We going over all this together. Yeah, we're going over all this together. So comprehension, and then be prepared for the vision board. So Shannon, if you can bring those.
Yeah, let me know. I'm gonna get some.
That's perfect. Hey, and throughout the week, guys, if you can start gathering any quotes you want on your vision board, start gathering those. Take some prints. So next week we're gonna come in. I know we get whiteboards. Is that cool for everybody?
I'm gonna get my own.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I don't
Use me. So that's what I'm gonna get.
You can get it. Don't let me.
You picking?
Huh?
You say you picking?
No, I said no.
Okay. Not a problem. Not a problem. Any questions as you guys leave out? Nope. Wonderful class, guys. I appreciate
It's
it.
something I got to look at, from here on out. So.
You gonna make sure it's right, huh? Ain't nothing wrong with that. Taking your success in your own hands. Thank you so much. Hey, Lynn, email. Oh yeah, I'm gonna email it to you. Shoot me, give me your email right now. Let's keep it right. I think I got everybody else's email. So I'm gonna send you guys a copy of the feeling when we went on. Yeah, do that, because I want us to make sure we add that to the progress report. Hey, as everybody leaving, Shannon, go ahead and tell the good news, please.
So I got good news is with Noel and Anthony's health. of Healthcare.
At.
John George.
Okay. You
And,
start on.
well, I should receive my, information from HR. He said give it a week.
Okay, congratulations.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Now, where the hell my job at?
Good get them. Alright, baby thing.
You got it written down for me?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shoot you out the information. Is there anything else you need it from the other weeks as well? 'Cause I can. I'll look you up. I'll get you everything you need.